Get started today. We are doing FSA Packet 2, problems 23 through 44. Evaluate the following expression. Evaluate the following expression, your answer. Express your answer in scientific notation. Okay, so first we need to change these to standard form. So times 10 to the 4th power means we are moving this decimal 4 times and annexing zeros. And the same with 3.1, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we are lining up our decimals and adding them together. Okay, and then we are moving our decimal point back, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we have 8 and 22 hundredths times 10 to the 4th divided by 1.2 times 10 to the 2nd. You can use your calculator on this part, so we are going to start by dividing 8 and 22 hundredths divided by 1 and 2 tenths, and that gives us 6 and 85 hundredths. And then when we are dividing exponents with the same base, we need to subtract our exponents. So 4 minus 2 gives us 2. So our answer is 6 and 85 hundredths times 10 to the 2nd power. What is the distance between R 1, 3 over 1 up 3 and S over 6 down 5? So we want the distance between these two. And to do that, we are going to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared because this is a right angle, or right triangle, sorry. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 squared plus 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 8 squared is 64 because 8 times 8 is 64. 5 squared is 25 because 5 times 5 is 25. And then 64 plus 25 gives us 89. Okay, we are not done yet because that is what c squared is equal to. To find out what c is equal to, we need to do the square root of 89. So we can just put 89 into our calculator and then press the square root button. Okay, and then we get a really long decimal point here. But we are rounding to the tenths place. This is what it comes up in the calculator. Okay, and we want to round to the tenths place. So our answer is going to be 9 and 4 tenths. The right square pyramid shown has a side length of 12 inches. That means this whole side is 12. We don't want the whole side in this problem. We only want half of it. Okay, and then the height is 13. That's important as well. Okay, so we want this right triangle. Okay, so if the whole thing is 12, then half of it is half of 12, which is 6. So again, we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Our a squared will be 6 squared because half of 12 is 6, and then 13 squared going up equals c squared. So 6 times 6 is 36. And then we have 13 times 13, which is 169. Okay, so when we add those two numbers together, we get 205. That is equal to c squared. So to find out what c is equal to, we need to take the square root of 205. So you can just press the square root button in your calculator. And again, you are going to have to round it. Okay, it says round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So that would be 14 and 3 tenths. And we're talking inches here, so it would be in inches. Okay, a cylinder has a height, a cylinder has a height of 6 1/10 and a diameter of 4 inches. Okay, what is the volume? Okay, volume of a cylinder is pi times radius squared times the height. Okay, so we know pi is 3.14. Our radius, we don't know, it just gave us the diameter, remember? Diameter divided by 2 gives us our radius. So 14 divided, not 14, it's 4. 4 divided by 2 gives us 2, which is our radius, so 2 times 2, and then our height is 6.1. And then you just use a calculator and punch these numbers in. So 3.14 times 2 times 2 times 6.1. Okay? So then you get 76 and 616 thousandths, and then we are rounding to the nearest tenth. So that is going to be 76 and, nope, 6 tenths. And we're talking inches cubed. Connor and Owen are riding their bikes at different speeds. Connor's rate, here's Connor's rate in miles per minute is described in the table below. Owen's rate in miles per minute is described as y equals 2 tenths x. Okay, compare the two functions. Well, first we need to do change in y over change in x because that gives us our slope, and that's what we're going to be comparing is the rate. Another word for rate is slope. Okay, so we are adding 3 here, and we are adding 12 here. So Connor's is going to be y equals 3 divided by 12. Okay, so, 3 divided by 12, x. So 3 divided by 12 is 0.25. Double check that on your calculator if you want to. So this is Connor's 0.25x, okay, because remember, we put our change in y over our change in x, and then we would have to divide that to get our decimal. And now we can compare the two decimals. So Owen's is 0.2, which we can also annex a 0 here, and it wouldn't change the value. So 0.20x, and this is 0.25x. So Connor's rate is 0.25 miles per minute, and Owen's rate is 0.2 miles per minute, or 0.20 miles per minute, and who has the faster pace? Okay. I forgot to write Connor's. Okay, so Connor has 0.25 miles per minute, and Owen's is 0.2 miles per minute, and Connor won. All right, Jackson is a mechanic at All Pro Auto Repair. The amount of money charged, X hours, is represented in the equation y equals 40x plus 75. Okay, what does the amount of 75 represent? Okay, so $40 is how much per hour, okay, that gets charged. So what does 75 represent? 75 represents our initial amount. Initial amount, initial value. Okay, something along those lines. The initial fee charged by the shop, which is the initial value, or the initial amount. Okay, our y-intercept is always the initial value, the beginning fee, the starting fee, the one-time payment, okay? The slope is what happens again and again and again and again. Like each hour, each month, each day, that sort of thing. Okay? Determine the number of solutions for each system of equations of linear equations shown below. Okay? When it is completely different, one solution. So these are completely different, so one solution. When only one change that is no solution. So if only one thing is different, then it's no solution. So this has one thing that's different, so no solution. And then completely the same, that is infinite. Because really they're on the same line, so that's infinite solutions. Okay, also solution means where our lines cross. So if they have one solution, they cross at one point. Okay, if they have infinite solutions, I don't know how to do this, they're the same line. Okay, so all the solutions on that line could be the solution, right? And then no solutions means they're not touching, they're parallel. Okay. Okay, two linear functions are below. Compare the functions. So again, we need to do change in y over change in x. So this is y equals 5 over 4x. Okay, and then here, rise over run. Up 1, 2, 3. Over 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. All right, so what is the rate of change? Remember, that is our slope, okay? So our slope for function 1 is 5 over 4. You could also divide that into your calculator and get 1.25. It means the same thing, okay? And then we have 3/4 for 2, which is 0.25. And the question says which one is greater? That means bigger. Which one has the bigger slope? The answer is function 1. Okay, in the figure below, lines A, B are parallel that are cut by the transversal. Okay, so this is a transversal. These are parallel lines. They will never touch. Okay, the transversal goes right through the parallel lines. Okay, what is the measure of angle R? So we're trying to find this amount here. Okay, so what we do know is that vertical angles are equal. So if this is 53, then this is also 53. Okay, and then opposite angles, okay, are equal. Opposite alternate interior, that's what we call this because it's inside the parallel lines. So alternate interior are equal. Okay, and then these make up a straight line together. So R plus 53 equals 180 degrees because a straight line is 180 degrees. So to solve this, we just subtract both sides by 53. This cancels and we're left with R is equal to 180 minus 53, which is 127. So our answer is 127 degrees. Complete the table to represent a linear function. Okay, so here we are adding 6 each time. And here we are adding 6 each time. Okay, so here we need to add 6 again. Okay, so 19 plus 6 is 25, and 4 plus 6 is 10. Okay, express the following in simplest forms. Okay, so anytime we have an exponent taken to an exponent, you multiply your exponents together. So 2 times 4 is 8, so now we have 7/8, or not 7/8, sorry, 7 to the 8th power over 7 to the 5th power. And now we are dividing exponents with the same base, we subtract our exponents. So 7 and then 8 minus 5 is 3, so 7 to the 3rd power. And it wants it with exponential form, so that's going to stay 7 to the 3rd power. Evaluate the following. Okay, so we need to change these to standard form first. This is out to the 10 to the 6th power, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put zeros in our buckets, okay? And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then we're subtracting these, so make sure to line up your decimals. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3, 4, and 5. Two and 4. Okay, so then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 4 and 2/10 times 10 to the 6th divided by 1.2 times 10 to the 3rd. So again, we want to divide those first two numbers. So 4.2 divided by 1.2, and we get 3 and 5/10, or 3.5. And then we are subtracting our exponents because we have the same base. So 6 minus 3 gives us 3, so it'll be 10 to the 3rd power. Complete the following table. So we want one solution, no solution, or infinite. Okay? And this first one is one thing is different, which is the 7x and the 4x. Other than that, we have 12, we have subtraction signs, and we have negative signs. So that'll be no solution because when just one thing is different, it's no solution. Okay, if we were to change this to where it just had 5y on this side, how we would get rid of the 2x is by subtracting it from both sides. This is going to cancel. We're left with 5y equals negative 2x plus 23, which is exactly what this is. So that would be infinite solutions because they are exactly the same. And that would make this one solution because they are completely different. Okay, here a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, remember our a and our b are not the slanted side, they're the right angle. Okay, so we have 5 and 2/10 squared plus 7 and 1/10 squared equals c squared. Okay, so we have 5.2 times 5.2. So we have 27 and 4/100 plus 'kay, so when we add those together, that is equal to c squared. To find out what c is equal to, you need to find the square root of that number. Okay, so put that number in, press the square root button, and we have 8 and 8/10. Oops, 5. So if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, that would be the 8, so it would be 8 and 8/10 centimeters. Okay, a cone has a radius of 6 inches and a height of 7 inches. What is the volume of the cone? Remember, our formula for the volume of the cone is pi r squared times the height and then divide by 3 because a cone is just 1/3 of a cylinder. So we have to take the cylinder formula and then divide it by 3, and that's our cone formula. So pi is 3.14. Our radius, it says, is 6, so 6 times 6. And then our height is 7, and then divide by 3. So 3.14 times 6 times 6 times 7, and then divide by 3, and you get 263 and 76/100, and it says round to the nearest tenth. So that would round up to 0.8 because that 6 is going to bump that 7 up. Okay, a tub can hold 13 gallons of water. It is being filled at a rate of 2.5 gallons of water every 1 minute. So 2.5 gallons for 1 minute. Okay, so that is our equation here. All right, and it can hold 13 gallons of water. Okay, so we were trying to get to gallons. Okay. All right, so create a graph that represents the amount of water going into the tub for the first 5 minutes. Okay, so we're going to replace this x with 5. Okay, actually, we could make a little chart here that would be helpful. Okay, so we're going to multiply each one of these by 5. 2.5. Okay, so we've got 1 times 2.5 is 2.5. 2 times 2.5 is 5. 3 times 2.5 is 7.5. 4 times 2.5 is 10. I don't know why I looked that up. And then 5 times 2.5 is 12.5. Okay, so then you're going to come over here and you're going to mark them. So over 1 up to 2.5. Over 2 up to 5. Over to 3 up to 7.5. Over 4 up to 10. And then over to 5 up to 12.5. Okay, so there's your line. I can make a line here. Let me, okay, well, let me move that line a little bit down. And then what is our rate? Okay, remember rate is the same as slope. Okay, and 2.5 is our slope. So 2.5 for 1 minute. Okay, so 2.5 gallons per minute. That's our answer. Okay, 125 male and female students. Okay, that's our total, which goes in the bottom right corner always. Okay, we're surveyed to determine if they are bus riders or car riders or walkers. Complete the frequency table below. Okay, so we are subtracting. Okay, so 125 minus 58 gives us this answer. You can use a calculator here, by the way. That'll give us 67, and then we are subtracting 38 from that to get this number, which is 29. Okay, we are subtracting 58 minus 36 to get this number, which is 22. Okay, and then we're adding across here. So to get the total amount, you have to add. So 29 plus 36 gives us 65. And 38 plus 22 gives us 60. And then 65 plus 60 should give us 125. Okay? And then how many more females were surveyed than males? Okay, so we have 65 females and 60 males, so 5 more females than males were surveyed. How many students total ride the bus? So we go to bus, and the total is 67. What is the relative frequency, which means we're going to have to divide here, of female students who ride the bus? So female students who ride the bus over the total female students. Okay. Let me write my 2 a little bit better. Okay, and then we're just going to divide here. So 29 divided by 65. Okay, and then I would round it. Okay, I'm going to round it to the hundredths place. Okay, find the solution. Okay, so because these are both equal to y, we can set them equal to each other, and then we can solve for x. Remember, we want all of our variables on one side together, so I'm going to add 3x to both sides here. This is going to cancel because a negative 3x, and then we're adding 3x, that gives us 0, so we're left with positive 7 on the right. Okay, and then x plus 3x gives us 4x's. Bring down that minus 1, and then to get 4x by itself, we need to add 1 to both sides. This is going to cancel because a negative 1 plus 1 gives us 0, so bring down your 4x. And then 7 plus 1 gives us 8. To solve for x, we still need to divide both sides by 4. This cancels because 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 1 times x is x. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. So we know that we have our solution. Okay, solution is always an ordered pair with an x and a y value. So our x value is 2. We still have to figure out our y value. To do that, you can replace either one of these x's with 2. Okay, and then solve for y. So y is equal to 2 minus 1. So y is equal to 1. You could have also done y is equal to negative 3 times 2 plus 7. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6 plus 7. Y is still 1. So either way, you can do one or both to see that to make sure that you got the correct answer here. But really, you just need to do this first one. In my opinion, that one's the easiest one. Okay, what is the solution? Remember, the solution is where they cross. Okay, so if they don't cross at all, your answer would be no solution. Okay, but they cross at this point right here. So our solution is, our x value is negative 4. We have to go over to negative 4 and then up to positive 4. So negative 4, positive 4 is our solution. Okay, a square is cut in half on a diagonal, creating two equal triangles. I'm going to draw my square. Okay, if each triangle has an area of, oops, that was a terrible line, area of 12.5 feet, pretend that these are equal. 12.5 feet on both sides. What is the length in feet of the original square? So we need to find this length. Well, if we add those two numbers together, we get 25 because 12.5 plus 12.5 gives us 25. Remember, when we are trying to find the area for a square, okay, we do area equals base times height. But in a square, both your base and your height are the same number. So we need to think what two numbers, they have to be the same, when multiplied together gives us 25. And the answer is 5 because 5 times 5 or 5 squared gives us 25. So our answer is 5 feet. This has to be 5 feet and this has to be 5 feet. Okay. That square is much better than mine. Okay. A grocery store sells bananas per pound. Okay, so what is the unit rate? Remember, that is your y divided by your x. So we have 2 over here divided by 4. Okay, and then if we put that into the calculator, 2 divided by 4, that gives us 0.5. So we need to think about what it is we're talking about. 0.5 what? $0.5, which we don't usually say. We say 50 cents, right? So let's put a 0 on the end of that one. 50 cents per pound. Remember, unit rates have a denominator of 1, so it's 1 pound per 1 pound. Or you could have done that first point. Okay, last one. Laura and Savannah rode their bikes from school to the library and then home. Use the graphs for each of their routes to answer the questions. How long did Laura stay at the library? Well, she rode to the library, she stayed at the library, and then she went home. So she stayed for 5 minutes. That wasn't very long, Laura. Shame on her. How long did Savannah stay at the library? Well, she went to the library. She stayed at the library. When it's not going up or down, that means that that's where we stayed. That's how long we stayed somewhere. It's flat line. That's where we're at. Okay. And she stayed for 10 minutes. It's a little long, a little longer, but I don't think that's long enough still to go to the library. You need time to pick out your book. How far away from the school is the library in miles? Okay. the school, distance from the school, in miles. Okay? Okay, so the distance in miles from, how far away from the school is the library in miles? So here's the school, okay, and here's the library. It is 2 miles from the school to the library. Okay, same thing here. This is the school, this is the library, so it is 2 miles. Okay, how far away from school is Laura's house? Okay, here's Laura's house. Okay, and here is school, and here is her house. So her house is 3 miles from the school. Okay, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys have a super awesome day, and I will see you tomorrow.